Okay, let's everybody settle down. The tech team's okay over there. Camera one's good. Camera two's good. All right, everybody, let's have a nice show. All right, here we go. And let's bring in the old pre-roll. And here we go. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Sundown. The day has come to an end, and we have survived this thing again. Glad you guys are joining us. Oh yeah, Washington's still that box full of. But we're out here and we're doing the damn thing. Hope you guys had a great day. It's a box full of. Yeah. Yeah. The party froze quick. Glad you guys are here. Welcome, welcome. We're going to get underway in just a few minutes. It's a box full of dicks. Box full of dicks. Anyway, we got some interesting stuff to talk about tonight. We're going to go into a little bit of Burisma. We're going to turn that off first. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Sundown. Glad you're here. Just waiting for everybody to log on in. That is not what we want. We want that. And we want that. Welcome. Glad you guys are here. Hope you had a great day. Everyone's just logging in now. We'll stutter for a little bit. It was a little bit warm today, but some interesting things have gone on. As you know, it was a little bit crazy in Kentucky last night. But tonight we're going to talk about people who are going to get their ass kicked over in Washington. At least that's what us patriots indeed hope. Let's jump right into things. Tonight we're talking about Hunter Biden and the corruption with Burisma. Let's call it Burisma. Here is the issue for me, my friends. It matters really. Let me set up my pictures here so I'm doing the right thing. It really doesn't matter who the president is in the White House and who's not in the White House. Basically, when there's a strong indications that those in the upper echelon, the inner circle, those with the greatest power and influence, are suspected of crimes, but no one does anything, and their particular party just acts like it's nothing and says that it's nothing. They gaslight us. Well, it is our hope, those who love justice and America, and understand that the games go very deep indeed. We hope that these crimes are, in fact, investigated. If they are innocent, so be it. They're innocent. If they're guilty, I say, fry all involved and anyone who knew about it, all the way up to the very top. If it goes to Obama, then it goes to Obama. But fry everybody. This is from the Senate website, senate.gov website, dated September 23rd, yesterday, 2020. Just want to clarify the legal responsibility as outlined in Senate Resolution 70. The Senate Homeland Security and the Government Affairs Committee. You see, they have the express authority to study or investigate the efficiency and economy of operations of all branches of the government, including the possible existence of corruption or unethical practices and conflicts of interest. The Senate Finance Committee has broad jurisdiction over the United States government and the Department of Treasury and the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FINCEN, which basically includes oversight jurisdiction over potential financial crimes. This was released yesterday. This that body of investigative people released a 60. Hey, Bill, how you doing, brother? They always say nobody's above the law, Bill. And then let people like Hillary Clinton get away with stuff. I know we would throw us behind bars. Well, that investigative body yesterday released a 64-page report. You can find it online anywhere. It's a little bit exhaustive, but I've brought in all of the pertinent information in hopefully what is a cohesive way to explain it to you today. This is the executive summary from that 64-page report. It's a lot of information, a lot of stuff, a lot of details. So at the beginning, they do an executive summary. It's a conglomeration of all the stuff that they found. And it went a little something like this. Executive summary. Well, in late 2013 and into 2014, mass protests erupted in Kiev, Ukraine, demanding integration into Western economies and an end to systematic corruption that had plagued the country. At least 82 people were killed during the protest, which culminated on February 21st, February 21st, the 21st, when then President Viktor Yanukovych abdicated by fleeing the country. I think that's Viktor. Less than 2 months later, over the span of only 28 days, significant events involving the Bidens unfolded. Well, let me make sure I got my buttons all right here, just so that I'm in the good spot. Well, on April 16th, 2014, Vice President Biden met with his son's business partner, and that would be Sir Devon Archer, there with young Biden himself at the White House. 5 days later, Vice President Biden visited the Ukraine, and this is their report. This is the executive summary that they released of the 64-page report. 5 days later, Vice President Biden visited Ukraine, and he soon after was described in the press as the public face of the administration's handling of Ukraine. The day after his visit, on April 22nd, Archer, the gentleman on the left, the business partner of young Biden, on April 22nd, Archer joined the board of Burisma. 6 days later, on April 28th, British officials seized $23 million from the London bank accounts of Burisma. Owner Mykola Zolinskivaskovsky, can't say his name. That's a good-looking dude right there. He just looked like he'd fuck you up. 14 days later, on May 12th, Hunter Biden joined the board of Burisma, and over the course of the next several years, Hunter Biden and Devon Archer were paid millions of dollars from a corrupt Ukrainian oligarch for their participation on the board. They're sitting on the board, they're discussing energy, and they're getting paid. Well, that's a good thing. Everybody's got to get paid. It's the perks of power. Well, Johnson Grassley released reports on conflicts of interest investigation yesterday, Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020. They've been doing a study, investigating shit. These are the people who investigate shit when it happens. U.S. Senators Ron Johnson, Representative Wisconsin, and Chairman of the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee, and Mr. Chuck Grassley, this happy-looking boy, Republican Iowa Chair of the Senate Finance Committee, released a report that revealed millions of dollars in questionable financial transactions between Hunter Biden and his associates and foreign individuals, including the wife of none other than the former mayor of Moscow. Oh, that's not her. And individuals with ties to the Communist Party. Well, these were just some of the findings from their investigation into political conflicts of interest arising from Hunter Biden accepting a position on the board of and taking millions of dollars from Burisma, a Ukrainian energy company with a long-standing reputation for corruption. Well, while his father, Joe Biden, was vice president and the public face of the Obama administration's handling of the Ukraine policy, they were there to fight corruption. Well, these are the findings from the chairman's investigation that was released yesterday. In early 2015, former deputy chief of mission at the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv, Ukraine, which would be that young man, George Kent, raised concerns to officials in Vice President Joe Biden's office about the perception of a conflict of interest with respect to Hunter Biden's role on Burisma's board. Hey guys, this is raising flags. Well, Kent's concerns went unaddressed. And in September 2016, he emphasized in an email to his colleagues, hey guys, furthermore, just want to say again, the presence of Hunter Biden on the Burisma board was very awkward for all U.S. officials pushing an anti-corruption agenda in Ukraine. Now, this is not me talking, this is their finding. Released yesterday. In October 2015, senior State Department official Amos Hortstein, that's Amos, he got a smile too, concerns with Vice President Biden as well as with Hunter Biden. That Hunter Biden's position on Burisma board enabled Russian disinformation efforts and it risked undermining U.S. policy in Ukraine. This is what was released in their report, what they found yesterday. Hunter Biden was serving on Burisma's board, supposedly consulting on corporate governance and transparency when Burisma owner, that fucking guy again, Mykola Zloveski, allegedly paid a $7 million bribe to officials serving under Ukraine's prosecutor general. Well, Vitaly, he got a smile, Vitaly Yarema, to shut the case against Zalewski. Well, George Kent testified. This guy, George, he's a connoisseur. He testified, and it occurred in December 2014, 7 months after Hunter Biden joined Burisma's board. And after learning about it, he and the resident legal advisor reported this allegation to the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the people who investigate shit. In addition to the over $4 million paid by Burisma to Hunter Biden and his business partner Devon Archer for membership on the board, Hunter, his family, and Archer received millions of dollars from other foreign nationals with questionable backgrounds. Go figure. Well, Devon Archer received $142,300 from this person, Kengjis Raskas of, nope, that's not him. Oh, don't have that guy's picture. From a guy named Kengjis Raskevis of Kazakhstan, purportedly for a car. This guy. For a car. The same day Vice President Joe Biden appeared with Ukraine Prime Minister and addressed Ukrainian legislators in Kyiv regarding Russian actions in Crimea. Hunter Biden received a $3.5 million wire transfer from that lady, Elena, she's not over there, she's here, Elena Butrina. Miss Butrina is the wife, the former wife, widow, of the former mayor of Moscow. $3.4 million. Hunter Biden had business associates with this handsome-looking man, Jinming Guangdong, and other Chinese nationals linked to the Communist government and People's Liberation Army. Those associations resulted in millions of dollars in questionable transactions. Hunter Biden opened a bank account with Guangdong that financed a $100,000 global spending spree with none other than these two, James Biden and Sarah Biden. Well, Hunter Biden also moved millions of dollars from his law firm to Mr. James Biden, his brother, and Sarah Biden's firm. Upon being questioned about the transaction, Sarah Biden, his sister-in-law, refused to provide supporting documents and information to more clearly explain the activity. Well, the bank subsequently closed the account. Hunter Biden paid non-resident women who were nationals of Russia or other Eastern European countries and who appear to be linked to an Eastern European prostitution or human trafficking ring. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is not me. This is basically their report that came out yesterday, what they found and researched. Well, let's take a look at what the other side of this coin has to say. This is from a Politico contributors by Andrew DeSandro and Kyle Cheney. I wonder if there's any Cheney relationship there. They said, for a year, Senate Republicans have teased a bombshell investigation into Hunter and Joe Biden that could rock the former vice president's campaign for the White House. They further go on to say, but an interim report issued by Senators Ron Johnson, Republican Wisconsin, and Chuck Grassley, Republican Ohio, Representative Ohio, less than 6 weeks before the presidential election and released publicly on Wednesday, yesterday, is largely a compilation of previously public information. We already know this. We didn't do anything about it. We didn't raise a stink about it. Now, none of this was on any of the mainstream media. Only on Fox and the right-wing type places. Some of it rewashed anew by witnesses who already testified during the House impeachment inquiry last year, as well as news articles and strongly worded insinuations with little evidence to back them up. Well, let's see what old Joe Biden had to say yesterday. Let's take a look at what Joe had to say. Where's old Joe? We're going to bring old Joe up here. I don't know what you're doing up there. I'm pushing the wrong buttons. Let's get that out of there. Let's see what old Joe Biden had to say about this development.
How was your role as vice president in charge of policy in Ukraine and your son's job in Ukraine? How is that not a conflict?
This is yesterday.
It's not a conflict of interest. There's been no indication of any conflict of interest from Ukraine or anywhere else. Period. I'm not going to respond to that. Let's focus on the problem. Focus on this man, what he's doing that no president has ever done. No president.
Joe got pissed. I don't think Joe liked that question. Let's focus on not me, not my son. Let's focus on anything but us. Well, the Politico article went on to further say, the report titled Hunter Biden, Burisma, and Corruption reprised these year-old claims and adds little new to a discussion first raised by President Donald Trump's defense team in his impeachment trial before the Senate earlier this year, when the president was acquitted by the GOP senators on charges of abusing his power by what? When he was charged with abusing his power by seeking to pressure Ukraine to investigate the Bidens. And the report does little to substantiate any allegations against the Democratic presidential nominee, which have been fueled in part by foreign actors linked to the Kremlin, whom the U.S. officials have said are attempting to interfere in the 2020 election. This is from the left's point of view. Well, the article further goes on to say the report relies on vague assessments already revealed publicly, namely from top State Department officials George Kent, who said Hunter Biden's role on the board of a Ukrainian energy company was, quote, very awkward, end quote, for U.S. officials who were carrying out an anti-corruption policy in Ukraine. The Political article yesterday went further on to say Kent made a similar remark during his impeachment testimony last year. Yes, they are repeating the allegations because there's some fishy shit going on. Possibly. It's an allegation. The report also highlights a year-old New Yorker article describing a conversation between Biden and a top aide about his son's role on the board of the Ukrainian energy company. The Politico article further says Burisma, but notes that the article provided no evidence about how Biden reacted. The aide, Amos Hochstein, a former special envoy for the international energy in former President Barack Obama's administration, declined to discuss his conversation with Biden about the subject when he testified last week before Johnson's panel. The article further goes on to say the GOP senators have been investigating allegations that a Democratic public relations firm, Blue Star Strategies, sought to influence the Obama-era State Department by leveraging Hunter Biden's role on the board of Burisma, a Ukrainian energy company. Trump has pushed Republicans to use their investigative powers to probe his political rivals. I think that's what you do with your power. The investigation, which lacked majority support among members of the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee that Johnson chairs. So this article says, the other side. They found that two officials, including Kent, raised conflicts of interest concerns to Biden when he served as vice president. The report states that Hunter Biden's role, quote, casts a shadow, end quote, over U.S.-Ukraine policy, but provides no evidence that U.S. foreign policy was indeed impacted. So Politico says. Well, the Democrats raised concern that Johnson would not honor a recent committee vote to release all of the witnesses' interview transcripts alongside the report, except in cases where classified information might be revealed. Johnson's staff did not immediately release full transcripts on Wednesday, only quoted from witnesses' testimony in the report, often without full context. The political argument continues to say Democrats led by Senators Gary Peters of Michigan and Ron Wyden of Oregon accuses Johnson of publicly hyping a damaging report on Joe Biden, only to issue a report that included no evidence. Well, I'm just going to show you this because I thought it was fucking funny. Let's go to B. The richest woman in Russia sent Hunter Biden $3.5 million, according to an 87-page report released by Senate Republicans on Wednesday. Elaine Butrova is the widow of Larry Lusov, the former mayor of Moscow, who, according to the report, became a billionaire when her plastics company did well. Biden's investment firm received a wire transfer in 2014 as part of a financial relationship, though no other details were provided. The report also detailed 11 wire transfers this lady sent in 2015, 9 of which were sent to the bank account of an investment firm founded by Biden and Chris Heinz, stepson of Kerry. Well, they filed for bankruptcy in 2019. Joe Biden's spokesman slammed the report as a way to subsidize a foreign attack against the sovereignty of America. Oh, that's what they said. Well, the political rebuttal continues on and says Chairman Johnson repeatedly impunged Vice President Biden in public on a basis of secret evidence he claimed to have obtained. The Democrat said, well, quote, contrary to public insinuations, the chairman's investigation found no evidence that the former vice president did anything wrong in his efforts to carry out official U.S. policy in Ukraine. They further go on to say, the Johnson-Grassley report devotes 10 of its 87 pages to criticizing Democrats' attacks and media reports about the investigation, including several from this magazine, Politico. And it ends stating that, quote, there remains much work to be done, end quote, citing lack of compliance from the executive branch. Allegations that the Democratic firm Blue Star Strategies attempted to sway the State Department during the Obama administration follow the argument Trump's lawyers made during Trump's January defense against impeachment charges that he abused his power by pressuring Ukrainian leaders to investigate Biden and his son. See, here's what I don't get. It's the president's job to investigate those kind of things. I would think that if someone was running for office, even if they are your competitor, and there are allegations that they are indeed accepting bribes from foreign corrupt countries and leveraging U.S. policy and power and money to do so, that the president should probably speak up about it and say something. Hey, can you guys look into this? Johnson ramped up his Biden-focused probe during the House impeachment inquiry, and though it briefly faded from view as Biden's presidential candidacy seemed to sputter, he intensified it again in February after Biden surged back into contention. So the Political article continues to say. They say the Trump allies allege that Biden, who led anti-corruption efforts for the Obama administration in Ukraine, forced the removal of a Ukrainian prosecutor who was investigating Burisma while Hunter Biden sat on the board. Nobody saw that video. I didn't see it, and you didn't see it. But high-level State Department witnesses repeatedly discredited this claim, emphasizing that Biden's removal of the prosecutor, who was widely seen as corrupt, was U.S. official policy and actually made it likelier that Burisma would face serious corruption investigation. They go on to say that nevertheless, Johnson pursued the allegations even amid increasingly loud warnings from some Republicans too, that some of the actors perpetuating the same narrative were doing so at the behest of Russia, which intelligence officials say is interfering in the 2020 election to ruin Biden. But didn't they just discover that the richest woman in Russia gave him $3.4 million? So I'm trying to figure out who's on the hook with Russia. I'm just trying to sort my way through this. This is the Politico's counter to what the investigation released last night. They go on to say, as a result, Johnson's investigation has been mired in growing controversy. Democrats have accused Johnson of aiding Vladimir Putin's attack on American elections. I don't think there's any documented bank records of rich Russian nationals putting $3.4 million in Donald Trump's son's account. Do we see the game? The game that's ping-ponging back and forth. They've accused Johnson of aiding Vladimir Putin attack on American elections, a charge whose potency grew after the Treasury Department sanctioned pro-Russia Ukrainian lawmaker Andrei Dirk, Russian names are hard to pronounce, calling him a Russian agent who is fueling false narratives about Biden. Senators have openly clashed in classified settings over Johnson's probe. In the report, Johnson and Grassley rejected the notion that Dirkmock's material or any evidence he has purported to gather made its way into their report, saying, quote, since the offices of Chairman Johnson and Chairman Grassley did not receive and were unaware of the information that Durkox, whatever his name, had allegedly sent. It is impossible that Durkoch's efforts could have shaped the committee's investigation in any way, they wrote. Further, Johnson's allegations against the Biden mirror those pushed by Durkoch, who sent packages and packets of information about Biden to Johnson and other Trump allies in Capitol Hill. But Johnson's office has denied that the senator received anything from Durkoch, who is relying on his claims. Well, they go on further to say that Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, has met with Durkoch and sought to spur an investigation into the Bidens led by the Ukrainian government, an effort that ultimately got Trump impeached by the White House. Do you see how they spin shit? That's not what the Democrats impeached Trump for. They impeached him on Russian collusion, which was found to be false, not on the Biden Burisma thing. You see how they're in bed with the Russians getting paid, and they flip it and say, you're in bed with the Russians, and they're helping you with the election. That's the game we play. Well, Durkoch has been releasing leaked tapes of phone calls between Biden and former Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko, none of which support the narrative Durkoch has pursued, but have further fueled fear of a high-level plot. Trump has amplified reports about those tapes, despite warnings about Durkoch from the intelligence community. This is what the rebuttal is from Politico. Well, they go on to further say in a statement, Biden's campaign spokesman, Andrew Bates and Johnson, has wasted months investigating the Bidens while the coronavirus pandemic rages. He said Johnson sought to, quote, subsidize a foreign attack against the sovereignty of our elections with taxpayer dollars, an attack founded on a long disproven hardcore right-wing conspiracy theory. I'm kind of curious how many taxpayer millions were spent on a bogus investigation to try and remove a sitting president of the United States that failed and was found flawed. Probably 10, 20 grand. That's all. 2 years, something like that. They go on further to say the report leans heavily on 100 citations from 14 confidential documents in lengthy passages detailing Hunter Biden's financial connections to foreign nationals. The documents are actually suspicious, they say. Activity reports kept by the Treasury Department, in whose financial institutions flag transactions but don't verify whether any wrongdoing has occurred. That's what the Treasury Department does, bro. Peter said the GOP senators' decision to rely on these reports and publicize their details without any independent investigation was an unprecedented use of congressional power. Don't do what we do. Don't leak stuff. In addition, the Democrats emphasized that the reports were, quote, generated at the request of law enforcement in the fall of 2019, an unusual development for reports typically created by the financial institutions themselves. Quote, specific details about which law enforcement personnel requested the documents were redacted. The black pen, the Democrats noted. Quote, the Republican chairman's use of confidential Treasury documents to justify its unsubstantiated allegations and personal attacks against Vice President Biden's family is grossly irresponsible, the Democrats said. The information in the documents cited by the Republicans has not been verified to the Treasury Department, and we are not aware of any other congressional committee ever releasing that sort of information in this manner. Oh my God, they squealed on us. It's unclear if the documents refer to bank statements or government filings or other materials that would help provide a roadmap for how the committee investigated the son of the former vice president. Oh, how dare they! Despite the release of what Johnson dubs, quote, an interim report on Wednesday, he has faced several roadblocks in recent months. This article continues to spew. Earlier this year, Johnson tried to issue a subpoena to Andrei Tijolkolov, another one of them Russian guys, the former Ukrainian diplomat who has pushed unsubstantiated claims about Ukrainian interference in the 2016 election. But he ultimately scrapped the subpoena after the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force forced committee aides to do so, creating unease. For months, Republicans or Johnson pushed back on the idea that his probe was intended to help Trump politically. But more recently, he has confirmed those suspicions. And, quote, people need to take a look at this report very carefully and understand what the ramifications are for electing Joe Biden as president, end quote. Johnson said on a local radio program Tuesday, the day before he released this report. And we're still in the political argument. Indeed, some of Johnson's fellow Republicans have criticized the investigation as a political exercise, including Senator Mitt Romney, who sits on the House Homeland Security panel. Romney was the only Republican to vote to convict Trump during the Senate impeachment trial. That dirty little Mormon. It is not the legitimate role of government for Congress or for taxpayers' expenses to be used in an effort to damage political opponents, Romney said last week. Isn't that the idea of having investigative power to investigate criminal and potential wrongdoing? Isn't that what the Democrats did in investigating potential Russia influence and collusion? Isn't that the idea of what our government does? They investigate shit. So, my friends, the political argument continues with their spin and justification in opposition to this particular 46-page document released yesterday, saying other Republicans have distanced themselves from Johnson's actions, refusing to defend the investigation, but declining to openly criticize it. Politico previously reported that Senator Richard Burr, Republican North Carolina, the former chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, confronted Johnson privately about the probe, telling the Wisconsin Republican that it, quote, could aid Russians' election meddling efforts. Sounds like they're worried. Still, they go on to say, Johnson has pressed on as Trump's allies pressured him to keep the heat on the Bidens. Johnson has also launched a separate investigation. They're spending more money. Shame on them. This one centering on the Obama administration's actions during the presidential transition period, stemming from the FBI's basic counterintelligence investigation in 2016, the one that targeted the Trump campaign. So they're going to investigate that all again. So, my friends, that was Politico's response. So it seems to me that they're finding more stuff on Biden, and they're putting it out there, and no one seems to want to listen. So if you'd like to call in and give me your opinion, I don't know what's going on here. Give me your opinion. Call in live now. Give me your opinion of what's going on with this. Do so at 818-579-4651. It is smoking hot in this back room. I'm telling you. I think it's just you and me, Bill. Oh, 2 other people are listening to this bullshit. That's okay. Give me a call, 818-579-4651. Tell me what you think about it. Here's what I don't understand. Any legitimate criminal accusation against any politician should be investigated equally by both sides across the aisle. That's just me. It doesn't matter if it's you, it doesn't matter if it's us. Let's find out if there's corruption. Unless there is an overall larger plan and they want that corruption to continue. Unless they're part of it. And you know, people have many times said, why are they coming after Trump so hard? Because if Hunter Biden was corrupt and accepting money from the Russians and from Ukraine, that means the vice president was in on it, and the vice president speaks for the American administration on their stance in that region of the world. And he does so at the behest of the commander-in-chief, which was Obama. So there are many reasons, my friends, why they have from day one went so hard against Donald Trump. Now, I've said many times, I don't like Trump because he's not a dignified president. And I would prefer a dignified person up there. But what I like even less is a coup d'etat against American president from day one. A corrupt former administration having so much filth and shit underneath their administration's blanket that they have to do everything they possibly can to tarnish the name of the incoming administration, because that administration has publicly, openly, and fervently stated that they will drain those motherfuckers' bathtub swamp. And if they can pull that plug and that water starts to circle, you know what that water does is it goes down the drain. It pulls everything else in with it. And if they can get Biden, if they can get the Burisma connection, which it looks pretty strongly that they have, that's as much doubt as that was raised with Hillary and her emails. And maybe it's politics. Maybe there is nothing there other than a kid using political connections to make some money, which is what everybody does, in all honesty. That's what everybody does. Chelsea Clinton doesn't come out of college into a $900,000 a year job straight out of college just because she's good and got good grades. That's not how it works. She gets that money because her mother is Hillary Clinton. Tit for tat. Quid pro quo. That's politics. That's business. I personally would like to see it all come out on all sides. And it doesn't mean that I like Trump, that I believe in what he's doing. I appreciate that he is going after the swamp and has the balls, pardon me, to do so. I like that. I like a guy that says, hey, you know what? You've never let me in your club. Fuck you. I'm exposing y'all. I'm tearing it down. Why? Because America deserves at least a good shot. We all sit up here at the top of this pyramid and make millions of dollars. And we do it on the backs of America. And we give our money away to foreign governments and we let them screw us in our trade deals. Not going to happen anymore. We're not paying no more homage to England or to Rome. Fuck you guys. I like that kind of guy. I may not like him personally, but I like the chutzpah that goes with it. That's why I like Trump. Because he's stirring the pot. And that's what America is. America is a country of dissension. No matter what you do, we are going to argue and counter. And within that dissension and within that argument is the American political system. We learn about everything, and both sides keeps the other straight. That's supposed to be the idea. There was supposed to be and used to be a modicum of decency and dignity within our government and both sides of the aisle. Now today they release on the news right before I went on the air that Donald Trump was friends with Richard Nixon. They found in the Nixon library handwritten letters back and forth between them, talking about football and the team Trump owned, and Reagan giving him advice. And Trump saying he was proud of the way he handled Vietnam, the way Nixon handled Vietnam. And they're trying to make it look like Trump and Nixon were pals and in bed together. One disgraced president with another. That's the intention. Honor. There is none left in politics. If there was ever any, maybe they just kept it hidden from us. Maybe they just kept it so deep under the blanket and in the sub-layers of the swamp that everybody protected everybody else. And maybe the Democrats are so enraged at Trump because if he pulls back and drains part of the swamp, all the bodies are going to be starting to float up. And all the shit smell's going to float up. And everyone's going to get a real good idea. A good whiff, a nice taste, a good karmic smell of what our political structure has been like for the last 80, 90 years. What do you guys think? Somebody tell me what you think. I'd love to hear your opinion. 818-579-4651. Here's my number and a dime. You can call me anytime. Call me if you need someone to talk to. Call me. Satisfaction. It's Thursday, isn't it? I may not be on tomorrow night. I start filming this Western and filming it Friday and Saturday. I may be though, because we may get my stuff done early in the evening. That's about all I got for the night. Just wanted to throw the Burisma thing up there because it's not on the mainstream news. Fox runs it, but most of us probably don't watch Fox because Hannity's a little bit out of his fucking mind. But that's what's going on. Are they bringing up this Reagan stuff to, not Reagan, this, I'm not a criminal, whatever his name is, relationship with Trump, Richard Nixon, to take the media away from the release of this information through this investigative committee on Burisma and Trump Jr., or excuse me, Biden Jr.? Probably. Because there surely wasn't anything on the news about it, but Politico, as you saw, wrote a very long article, and it seemed to be heavily left-slanted. People say the Politico is, one of the honorable, honest news places. They're all owned by the same 6 corporations. You got to understand that. 6 men control all of the information that we get, and they're corporates. They're corporations worldwide in the game, way above the president. So can we trust that information? I don't know. I try and look at both sides of it, present both sides to you and say, hey, this is what they're saying, this is what they're saying. What do you think? It's Thursday night. We survived this day. I'm glad you guys did, in fact, survive this day, as I did. And we get to do it again tomorrow, hopefully, when the sun goes down. Thank you guys for joining me this evening. I hope that you had a very good time today. And I'm trying to hit the buttons and change stuff so I can get my sweaty butt out of here. Oh, mercy, mercy. So we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thanks for tuning in. Good job today, surviving in this thing we call life. You guys have a good night. Why? 'Cause you are so beautiful to me. Bye-bye. Have a good night.